They said that J. Prince Jr. the feds. They said that he, real life, got booked for some time and then got out on an early release. All because he gave them what they wanted. This is not coming from nobody else but the people who was right there when it happened. I want y'all to open y'all eyes to what's really going on. Hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Hey man, they didn't care about Takeoff. They didn't care about Takeoff cousin. They didn't care about Takeoff uncle. Them people real life grieving for this man. And these people sitting back, enjoying their life, living their life, living it up. Y'all gotta really pay attention to this, man. What is this? Like, I'm trying to figure out, is they gonna keep lying about what's going on, or is they gonna prosecute the people that need to be prosecuted? Charleston White is the prime example of why Takeoff, his whole, the whole case is solved right now. For the simple fact of one thing, Charleston White spoke out and said that Quavo was the main one who could have protected him, but he checked in and didn't check out. Am I right or am I wrong? Y'all let me know in the comment section. Hey, I want to let y'all know one thing. J. Prince Jr. was just questioned by the feds backstage. This sad, but at the same time, we all know for a fact he was the one Quavo was in the car with, and Takeoff was standing outside of the slab talking to him. So I wanted y'all to really pay attention to this, man, and listen to what the eyewitness stated on the statements.
It was unrelated to the situation, like with the Takeoff, but it was a step that they had to do because of the fact that they were like, we can't let this kid be on the run for this long, man. It's making Houston look very bad. And so what they ended up doing was they were trying to look at and replay all the footage to see if there's anything, violations they could get him for, any type of situation like that, right? Well, he already actually did something, like he already was doing other little things on the side to where they already kind of knew what he was on. And so what they did was they just kind of staked him out and they crept up on him and they got him. And so basically, like, everybody was already looking at MobTies and this and that. So they had to make sure that they had to get, you know, Lil Cam, and, you know, he was leading the event, him and whoever else had any type of hand in it. And so, like, this is the reason why Finesse 2 Times canceled the show, because of the fact that people were catching on and like feeling weird about MobTies. So he didn't want anything to pop up at his show or to get questioned or anybody to pop up there with any issues or nothing like that. And so it's the same reason why Finesse 2 Times left MobTies, is because he already knew MobTies was getting looked at heavy. It's a whole lot of stuff going on that y'all don't even know about, but due to the fact that Lil Cam got captured, and he's gonna speak now, he's gonna tell, and they're gonna ask him who sent you, who paid you, who did this. They're gonna look at it and say, okay, do you have a job? How have you been getting money? Did you get money from this person to come to the bowling alley? And so they're gonna start the questioning very heavy. They're gonna start questioning on why did who's been tweeting between the back and forth with Quavo? Why you got beef with Quavo? What's all that about? So they're gonna start going down the rabbit hole of all these different questions they can ask him, and he might tell on all his MobTies people. So this is where it's like a breaking point. It's gonna be a lot of divide after this, because MobTies might end up like splitting up, breaking up or something, or they just might like distance from each other due to the fact that everybody's gonna be getting looked at, especially if they were at that bowling alley that night. They definitely gonna get looked at like, what were you doing? What's your part in this? You know, why were you here? You didn't even play in the dice game, so why were you still here? Those are the type of questions they're gonna ask him. And it's like, did Lil Cam play in the dice game or not? Or was he just there to argue with Quavo? That's another thing. Did Lil Cam go bowling? Did they actually like celebrate the birthday, or were they just there for the situation to take overboard and like to actually try to beef with Quavo or to fight him or whatever, right? And like, you know, a lot of people think that the only reason that Lil Cam was there is that they got paid to show up to snatch the chain, him and his buddies that drove him. And so when you really look at it and you think of the situation, like, he ran up, went inside, got that brown paper sack that had all the money in it. They gave him that brown paper sack to do something. You don't just give sacks of money out like for no reason. You're not Oprah. So another thing is that he goes in to grab that money, then he immediately walks out, and then he boom jumps right into the argument with Quavo and Takeoff. And so as Quavo's arguing with like Mike and Big Mike dude, the Big Mike dude is like right-hand man to MobTies, right? So what happened is that he's arguing with Quavo, and then Lil Cam pops out the cut and tries to pull up on Takeoff, and like he's like, you know, pretty much got him hostage there, trying to snatch his chain, saying like, hey, don't move. He's like whispering aggressively. You know how he aggressively whispering, like he like, hey, give me that. And the thing that he's doing is trying to like, it's another scene where that's like an argument, but it's so quiet. It's because Takeoff's not yelling, but you got Lil Cam aggressively whispering like, hey, stay right there, give me your chain, da-da-da-da, right? And then he basically tries to do a stick up, and he tries to jack him like the Jack Boys, right? They jump out boys. And so what happens is the argument and the boom, 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 and then they run back to the car. Like the dudes who drove Lil Cam literally had the car backing up to the perfect spot so that right when they hit the stairs, then they just jump in the whip and they take off. Like they even had it purposely to where they didn't put plates on their car, so that way it would be hard to tell. But a lot of people seen them. There's already footage of them showing up. There's already footage of them like at the gas station before this and that, so you could tell who Lil Cam was with, and like they had that you could follow everything in the traffic and until when they took the plates off. Like they could run everything in reverse and just go block by block, get all the camera footage, and then they'll be able to figure out, okay, yeah, they were caught taking the plates off, and then they showed up to the party, and then they did this and that, and then he jumped back in and took off. So like it's a whole lot of stuff that went on, but they pretty much found out exactly where Lil Cam was hiding out in Houston. And so another thing is that, you know, the MobTies crew, like they had to basically stop sending Lil Cam checks, because when they were giving him like whatever way he was getting money from them, if they were helping him get money, like that was paying for him to be on the run basically. So they had to stop and cut ties on all that. Like they knew exactly where he was and who he would be with. Like they know where his cousins are at. Don't forget Lil Cam's dad. People in Houston know Lil Cam's dad. Like he's actually part of basically MobTies in itself. Like he hangs out with Junior and all them, right? And so Lil Cam's dad, he probably knows a lot about what's going on in the situation as well, especially with the beef too, because maybe Lil Cam might have inherited some beef with Lil Cam's dad, or maybe there was a dice game when Migos first came to Houston, and it could have been an issue between Lil Cam's dad and Quavo, or whatever the case may be, and then that could have just spilled into some generational beef to where now Lil Cam's beefing with Migos and Quavo, right? And then he hops up to their next dice game event to try to straighten out the issues, because you got to understand where Lil Cam comes from is 5th Ward in Houston, and his dad is like basically a street guy out there, right? He's been in the streets from the 80s, 90s and on until Lil Cam was born, and you know, and he had to take care of Lil Cam, right? And so when Lil Cam was raised in the streets, he only knows a couple ways. Is do as what his street OG says. And if his street OG, like his dad or something, had any issue with Migos, then it makes sense that if his dad could have sent him on any type of like, hey, you know, make sure that these guys don't argue with you, or if they argue, you know, you never know what his dad could have told him, especially if he had any issues or involvement in any type of beef. That's something still that people have to look at and be like, okay, I know his dad's a street guy and he has some type of connections with MobTies, so did he know anything? You know, like boom. So that's something that they're trying to figure out as well. And now it could have very possibly been his dad also who turned him in, because maybe his dad snitched on him and said, yeah, I know where my son is, boom, 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 and he can call him and they could trace track and all that stuff, right? And so that could have been what's going on, but they eventually basically got Lil Cam and got him captured. And so, you know, it's like, okay, now it's like they got one of the people, but it's still more people to this whole thing. And so they have to also confirm you know, what position did Lil Cam play, how much they paid him to jump up and be up there. And he might just spill the beans on everything. Because when you looking at how much time that they about to give this dude, Lil Cam, they about to give him like 200 years or something like that, man. And so what's gonna happen is that he's going to tell. He's going to snitch and rat because of the fact that he's not going to want to do 200 years. So what's going to happen is that he's either going to bring down MobTies by snitching on them and telling them like all the things they've been doing, or anything else, maybe even bring up any type of dirt that he might got on them. You know how people do. They always keep that secret dirt on somebody in case something happens, right? And then boom, they try to spill the beans on that, like as a get out of jail free card or something like that. So, but it might not work in Lil Cam's case. It looks like, you know, everybody wanted him to be the suspect or whatever and get caught, and I guess that ended up happening. And so now will he try to blame it on somebody else? Will he try to, you know, take down his accomplices, his getaway driver, the boss man that paid him, or right? So you got to look at everything all together and realize that they're really cracking down on this because they've been looking at it all month in Houston. And a lot of people, they've not been going to Houston because they're like, no, we're going to wait until this is over, because it's like, you know, we don't want to have something like this pop off and then they can't find nothing and they can't get no justice. You see what I'm saying? So look, y'all, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and comment down below. I'm going to catch you on the next one.
The people who was coming out the bowling alley is the people who real live hit up Takeoff and set them up. The girl who had on the outfit for the Halloween party that J Prince Jr. threw for Quavo, y'all gotta really understand this one thing. She tapped the dude with the Chucky. You feel me? She tapped the dude with the Chucky dog. You feel me? He instantly started blowing through the Chucky dog. That's when you heard the muffled shot. That's when everybody started running over. He linked his leg over. Once he linked his leg over, you saw how she instantly stepped back and she instantly started fumbling with the phone. This why I always tell y'all, like, y'all gotta pay close attention, man. This sad, man. RP Takeoff, man. At the end of the day, we know for a fact that it's a lot of people who need to understand that this is a revolving door, and we need to, like, wake up at a certain point. When you really pay attention to this, you really wake up and be like, you know what? I ain't going outside. I ain't hanging with them today. I ain't finna slide over there today. I ain't finna get into nothing today with them. I don't trust them. They been in too much stuff, especially when they was with Boosie. I just want to first off start by saying I want to send my condolences out to Takeoff. I want to send my condolences out to Migo. I want to send my condolences out to his whole family. I want y'all to really look at this, man. Take notes. If you really pay attention to one thing, man, the only reason why Offset even pulled up with four of them goons from Atlanta, he pulled up to J Prince Jr. them function, man. He pulled up to their concert, y'all. Their whole concert got canceled, man. I want y'all to really look at this, man. Take notes on this, man. Y'all gotta open y'all eyes to what's really going on, because if we really look at it, man, Takeoff was one of the ones who real life kept the whole Migos together the whole time until they broke up. I want y'all to really look at one thing. J Prince Jr., he in hot water right now for one reason, for what happened to Takeoff, man. They said that he put like 50 of them things on top of it. You hear me? Like, I want y'all to look at that, man. And he got the back end from it, man. That's why you ain't heard from him. Charleston White said that Lil Cam, he not the fall guy. Charleston White said that the fall guy is Migo Bands, because Migo Bands was the one blowing, and that's who they coming out there looking for. And I want y'all to really look at the fact that nobody from Atlanta finna just ride to Houston for no reason. They riding out there for one reason, and one reason to be exact is because the people who was at that bowling alley knew what happened and knew for a fact They could have real life avoided the whole situation, but they didn't. So this goes to show that everybody who wanna sit out there and stick their neck out there and be this and be that, man, you gotta be ready for what come behind this, man. At the end of the day, we know for a fact everybody in MobTies, they send back looking like, who next? Like, y'all gotta really look at this, man. And there was a lot of people who sat back and like played, they like literally played their part in this. It's crazy how we do this to each other, but again, I can't speak for the next man. All I can do is sit there and let people know that Takeoff, if he would have never been at that bowling alley, he would have never got sent up. This would have never happened. We know for a fact that everybody sit there and say, okay, a lot of people is involved in this, but we know for a fact that it's people who's not involved in this. And the people who's not involved in this is the people who sat there and should have came with him, man, and protected him, man. Like, at the end of the day, man, don't let that go over your head. Like, sit there and pay attention to what's going on, man. He should have had bodyguards with him. It was no way you let some street guys, like real life, have your back. How could you trust somebody and you just saw what happened to Duke the Jeweler? Duke the Jeweler, people sat there and said, like, man, here go another one. If everybody keeps sending people up, man, and y'all keep on running out here reckless with these toolies and blickies, man, who else gonna be left? It ain't gonna be nobody else to send up or even to set up. And from what I mean by set up, again, this not pointing fingers at nobody. This not, like, I'm not placing the blame on nobody. I'm not picking sides, none of that. RP Takeoff, man. RP to the people who was lost on the Migos side. You feel me? At the end of the day, we know for a fact that the people sent back looking like, we just want justice. We just want justice for Takeoff at the end of the day. We know for a fact that Takeoff brother, he went off on J Prince Jr., man. And J Prince daddy, he instantly came out like, hold on. You gotta be calm, man. You gotta be smooth, man, because we ain't set your brother up. And everybody know for a fact that the Migos, they well connected. They tied to a lot of people, just like J Prince.
They haven't watched you then. They haven't watched you based on whoever you know out there in the city of Houston. And you still make a terminology like MobTies. Come on, man. That don't even seem right. And a lot of people believe that's the reason why his sons is moving the way they are. Because it's almost like they pops is validating them.
I just hope that when they do knock on their door, and when I say they, I mean the feds, when they do knock on J Prince and the whole MobTies, bust all the traps down, everything, they gonna be mad because they didn't think that it was gonna catch up to them. Y'all gotta understand, it's gonna take at least 3 to 4 years before they even run up on them and even investigate half the stuff like that's coming out, because they gotta look through all the videos, they gotta look through all the like the footage, and y'all gotta really pay attention. The people that work there, they wasn't involved in it, so that goes to show like they gonna be quick to give it up. Like, at the end of the day, we know this, man. And you see Takeoff walking forward, and you see Cam right on the side. You feel me? This goes to show who was Migo Band's instantly watching. He was watching one of them that was behind Takeoff. I want y'all to know that J Prince Jr. being in the middle of the fight, he literally sat there and could have avoided the whole thing. He could have told everybody, hey, fall back, man, because y'all see they with us. They checked in already. They with us.
I mean, at the end of the day, there was a lot of people that saw everything that happened, but nobody expected it to be right there behind them.
And from one thing that everybody knows, look, Cam, the man, they sunk the man up, man, at the end of the day. They sunk the man up. And who dropped the location? Who dropped Lil Cam location if didn't nobody know he did that? Once the internet got to the video of what happened with Takeoff, man, RP Takeoff, man, as soon as y'all come in the building, man, before you do anything, as soon as they got there, man, They already knew what was finna happen, man. They already knew they wanted Quavo to realize, sit there and bow down to them, man. You gotta understand, Takeoff didn't check in. Takeoff didn't go to Big J Prince Sr. house. Y'all gotta understand, it was only Migo, Bands, you feel me? And Quavo. Like, at the end of the day, you can't sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it or hold nothing back, because at the end of the day, we know for a fact that they tweet. And that Charleston White even coming out and saying, don't nobody care about MobTies. MobTies is nobody. They only in their own area. Like, at the end of the day, Charleston White, he reached out and said, I just talked to Buddy. Buddy already said Charleston White reached out and said that dude instantly, he was the main one, set the whole thing up. The people who was with J Prince now. So you gotta understand, why didn't they blow in the crowd, like around Takeoff? The reason they didn't do that because their intended target was Takeoff. People sitting back, they looking at this from a whole different perspective, but you can all take into full consideration in all actual reality that, man, it's another guy gone to senseless violence, man. They sent that man up, and that man was only there for his album release, man.
I mean, they were down there for a couple weeks, and a lot of people had an idea where they were because they've been continuing to drop their location, continuing to promote what they're doing, and obviously at the same time, you know, like meeting people while they're promoting. So everybody knew where they were continuously down there.
So when they even came out and said, like, yeah, J Prince Jr. stepped over Takeoff. J Prince Jr. didn't even help them when they was trying to, like, make sure he was straight. When old girl was like, what should we do? What did J Prince Jr. do? The man walked off. The man walked off and said, man, go over there. Go stand over there. Get away from him. We don't want nobody to say that we did nothing. Get away from him. Y'all gotta understand this, man. And J Prince Jr. walked right back up in the bowling alley after this happened, man.
I mean, maybe he thought that it was gonna continue on. Maybe he thought that there was more intended.
They wanted to leave a scene before the people pulled up.
Right.
Y'all know when you leave a scene after something just happened, you're a potential witness. You're a potential suspect. Right. And from what the lady said who was right there, she said that J Prince Jr. and them hopped in the black Sprinter van. You feel me?
Oh, yeah.
They